This year, I have helped create over 94,000 jobs in North Carolina that will help the people and the citizens of North Carolina. In my efforts, Cumberland County is a Tier 1 community. It is my goal to move Cumberland County from a Tier 1 to a higher tier through my ability to negotiate and bring job creation here in Cumberland County and infrastructure and to help our schools. I'm a strong supporter of health care. I'm a strong supporter of education. I'm a strong supporter of the expungement clinic to help people to become better citizens by helping them to remove things from their record. Right now, of our population, 1 out of every 5 citizens in North Carolina has a criminal record. You cannot address poverty unless you address expungement.
Hey, so welcome back once again. We are happy to have with us Representative Elmer Floyd, who represents the 43rd District here in North Carolina in the General Assembly. He's currently in his 6th term, and he's also a proud Army veteran and also a proud Go Broncos FSU grad. I won't take too much more of his air here. I want to give over to him to give more of his position, his vision for North Carolina, and of course his candidacy as well.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you this evening. You know, I'm a United States Army veteran. When I was younger and didn't have gray hair, I was stationed in Paris, France. I spent a 2-year tour over there, and I came to Fayetteville involved in a unique situation. It didn't work, and I finished Fayetteville State University, and I was hired by the city of Fayetteville as the Human Relations Director. I served there for the city of Fayetteville for over 30 years, and I've been retired 20 years. I served for 6 years in the General Assembly. I'm now seeking my 7th year, in the General Assembly. So it has been a wonderful experience for me. When I first started, I didn't have any gray hair. But over a period of time, I'm getting like Obama. You know, he went in Washington with no gray hair and came out with a hair full. So,
exactly.
So you mentioned that you were in the service, and then you went into public service, being up in politics. What made you get into politics, and what was the motivation behind that?
Well, when you in a community, and I was working first with the Fayetteville Poor People Organization, and you see how your community has been totally overlooked. And you say to yourself, how can I solve these problems? We can all talk about it, but it takes a unique person to step up to the plate and begin to address these challenges. As an example, when I first came to Fayetteville, it was the merging of our school, integration of our schools.
Right.
That was a key problem, integrating, downtown to the movie theaters when Fayetteville State was active in that. I was a student at Fayetteville State. So you begin to see, that change takes place when people are willing to step up to the plate and to address them.
I know that's right. So you mentioned some of the evolution that you've witnessed throughout Cumberland County. What are some of the significant ones, and what has been some of your contributions since being an elected official to continue for change and to continue Fayetteville and Cumberland County to evolve?
Well, when I first, as the Human Relations Director, we was just in the merge of making change and improving, race relations. And we talking about certain communities that was not annexed in the city. They were sort of like donut holes, and some of those donut holes still remain today. If you're not familiar with what a donut hole is surrounded by the city, just like a donut.
Exactly.
All around it is a city, and there's a hole.
Yeah,
That's a donut hole.
That's a donut hole
in the city. So we began to look at that. We had a lot of areas that was not annexed in the city, did not have a water and sewer. And if we look at, I think it was Fairview Park, now today it has water and sewer. And if you go across, I think it's Robertson Street, and it's a service station there to your left and the school in front of it. Back there, what we called then was Phillip Court. It did not have water and sewer, but if you cross a railroad track and pass the school, you'll see a difference
Lord
in the
Jesus.
community than when we first originally started with water and sewer for Phillips Court. Now today, it's a unique community beyond Phillip Court.
Well, I tell you what, I need a hookup. Honestly, this is my problem. I have a lot of speeding tickets. I can't seem to keep within the speed limit. And from what I've observed, I've never been to the treatment court, but I know it's yourself, Mary Mitch Colvin, Commissioner Charles Evan, and District Attorney Billy West that have started the expungement clinic, which I'm sure a lot of our viewers would love to understand about more of the expungement clinic. What does that entail, and how does it all come about?
Well, the expungement came about, it first really originally started in Wake County.
Okay.
And then we were able to get the district attorney to buy into that we need to address this. And then we got, along with Commissioner Evans, then the mayor, and I was brought in because a lot of legislation that had to be done in Raleigh to address expungement. So far, we have had 6 expungement clinics, okay, and we're having 3 this month, with the last one being the 29th, which is going to be Saturday, and it's going to be at Second Baptist Church on Wilmington Road. Of the expungement clinic, we have had we've had 1,000 individuals that have received expungement.
That's what's up.
Wow.
So when you look at that, this is going to help. I'm speaking of a male now, and also female, but males. So it's going to help them to take care of their family. They're able to get home jobs. They're able to go back to school, and those kinds of things. Before, the law was that you can get only one expungement during a lifetime. But now we have made certain changes. As an example, is that if you have multiple cases during the same week, you can get all those charges dismissed. And we have one more legislation pending that has came out of the Senate over to the House. The House Rule Committee has approved it. We're waiting now to get that bill on the House floor, and that will address the expungement. But as it stands now, the Senate and the House, we are unique. Sometimes the Senate holds up the House bill, and then, vice versa. But the bottom line of that is that you are able to help people to improve his or her life. You can't address poverty unless you address expungement. That's my thing.
Right.
You can't. The two go hand in hand there. So that's the expungement. But you might not believe it. We have a population of a little over 10 million people in North Carolina, and 1 out of 5 has some type record. 1 out of 5. So that leaves you 1.5 million people in North Carolina that have some record. So
Y'all don't be leaving y'all purses in y'all churches by himself. Get your purse when you go to the bathroom. 1 in 5. Here's what he said. 1 in 5.
Are they in the church?
They in the church. No, I got a question because you talked briefly about race relations. I know you come a long way from that era. I know it was a little more tense during that, era in history. Do you feel like we have really come all the way to Martin Luther's dream, or do you feel like we still have a few more steps into actually fully realizing his dream that he talked about? Because we're in Black History Month this month, so I like that you talked about, the transition from the race relations back when you first started in civil duty to now. Do you feel like we have some more steps, or do you feel like we have made it?
We still had a 440 to run.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
100%.
We're still at that point, we're at the third, and then that third got to pass that baton to that anchor person who was really able to make that sprint, and that's where you come in. The youth is able to take that baton and carry it to the next level. But the thing that won't happen until we begin the importance of participating in the political process. That's where changes have to be made in the political process. We can talk about it, we can say what we want to say, but we as the elected officials are the ones that change the laws that has an effect that would improve race relation. As King said, King always thought that in his delivered to the community is that he would have a conversation there where he was trying to bring everyone to the table, to brotherhood, to extend the hand of fellowship. But when King said all things fail, then there is what you might call direct contact. And direct contact is the ability to not to buy this drink, not to buy this water.
Yes, I'm telling you.
You see, that sometimes is the only way that people come to the table when it hit their pocketbook.
That's true.
So that was King. He really wanted to bring everyone to the table, and we want to do that today. Is to bring everyone to the table, so that we can have a broad-based discussion about growth and race relation. Now, as it relates to the national pitch, we are the most diverse city in the country, and that's due to because of Fort Bragg.
Yes,
Because of the diversity on Fort Bragg, but this 440 got to be run, and now we're on the third leg.
So I'll even caveat out that I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was saying how maybe during that era of Dr. King, when he would deliver the "I Had a Dream" speech, what's it, 1963 or 65?
63, I
Was
want
it
to say.
63? Maybe how we are living now was his dream, but the dream has evolved because now we just expect more, and we want a better seat at the table. We want to expound on a lot of our rights that we are still fighting for. So what I tell them is that, like you said, for our generation and for the younger generation after us, it is our responsibility to continue to push and evolve the dream because it's still an issue today.
Yeah, but I don't think we as strong as a community as we were back in the 1960s. Like, they were people walking miles and miles not to get on a bus. But if you ask this generation to say, listen, we're not gonna get on Uber, we're not gonna do Uber, we're not gonna shop at Macy's this whole month, they'll tell you, you out your mind. So I think there are things that we're supposed to learn from that generation that we have just dropped the ball.
As a caveat to that, I'm a big Byron Allen fan, and Byron Allen, he expressed that you're right. We got the 4-4, and the fourth part of that is economic inclusion, being a part of the economic fiber in this country. And I know that one of your positions is, of course, livable wage. We had a chance to talk with the mayor recently. He was expressing about affordable housing and raising the salaries here in Fayetteville for city workers. What's your viewpoint in regards to living wage and also that fourth component of being a part of the economic DNA in the country?
Well, when you look at $7.25 an hour, that's a lot for a person with a family of four. That's a lot to ask for him or her to maintain a stable life. And I think that the minimum wage an hour should increase. How should it increase? It can be done in phases because you're going to have a pushback if you say raise from $7.25 to $15 an hour. You're always going to hear the business person said that it's going to cost me to lay off persons because of the increase in wages. So, if it's done in phases, whatever numerical number that is, to arrive at $15 an hour within a 3-year period of time, that's something that is workable and need be. So I support increasing the minimum wage, but the pushback will come if you want to do it overnight. And that's what we had to do as politicians. And I say to you and I say to everyone else, politics is just one word, negotiation.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, I would say this. I mean, I'm throwing this out there as a bone. So I'm an employer, and everyone that works for my firm, I start them off, well above minimum wage. And With that being said, with there being a mandatory minimum now, I would say, let's say it's $15 an hour, which I know some of my employees at $15 an hour. The lower tier makes about 10 to 12 and goes up from there. What incentives would possibly be there for business owners as far as taxation?
Well, now that's a good question. We're just saying that as a taxpayer, that we would love to have your contribution, and as a taxpayer, you would help us make sure that as a government, we provide services. As an example, I know you don't like to hear this, but I love to see you all, during the month of December.
Mm-hmm.
You all spend,
Yes.
spend. I love to see that.
Don't wanna give it to 'em
Okay,
around like that.
so we see that, and then again, I strongly I plead with you through this broadcast is that you pay your tax April the 15th,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
we can then
I always pay
gauge
my taxes
what
first.
the economy would look like. So as a business person, when you raise those minimum wage, what you get is a better workforce. You get better service from the state, better service from the county, because the money,
Trickles back
It's
around.
going in a circle.
Mhm.
you see, you get better service. So, as a state, as a state, we are required to have a balanced budget. The federal government can print money. We can't. Our Constitution say that we must have a balanced budget. Doesn't matter. But in federal government, we can print it tomorrow.
Yeah. So what do you have on your agenda if you are re-elected? Like, what are some of the top 3 things on your agenda that you want to go after?
Well, like all of us are concerned with education, and we're concerned about pay increase for for teachers and none what we call non-certified workers. That the custodian, bus driver, the cafeteria worker, and any of those individuals to also receive pay increase. Now, not only that, but student retention
Mm-hmm.
is part of that. And then infrastructure. Some of our schools are 50 plus years old.
That's true.
Oh, wow.
Wow, didn't know
So
that.
we
Some
have
of
to
them are
look
older
at
than that.
infrastructure. And then again, we're in a tier 1 community. The state of North Carolina is 100 counties. We are the bottom 40 Cumberland County. So how do we move from the bottom 40 and move out of this to a higher tier? Well, had you tried to drive to Raleigh on 401?
I haven't.
It's a good trip
It is.
Oh, it's
because it's a
about
single
hours.
lane road.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how we go to Raleigh, we take 295
5 to
into
95,
95,
mhm.
95 into
The
40.
40.
We don't have the road. We don't have the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to look at that. We had to look at many of the counties that's around us have water, okay, and some have sewer. And then again, in rural North Carolina, broadband. It takes many farmers, I'm exaggerating now, a couple of days to dial up
That's
to
true.
see what's out there in the global market that they can do their goods and services.
That's true.
So we had to look at that area, and the other area is environmental things that we have. We got to make sure we have clean water, clean air, and also what I mean by land, because if the air, whatever blows at some point in time and carried by rain like today, it's
Exactly.
gonna go into our soil. And once it go into our soil, it then trickle down into our water supply. So we had to look at, all these things, and healthcare expansion. Some mentioned that I voted against healthcare expansion. As a member of the General Assembly, I do not recall a independent bill with healthcare expansion come before the General Assembly as a bill. I've heard the governor requested that he want healthcare expansion as part of the budget bill, but it was not in the budget bill. So as a legislator, I had to vote on the bill that was before me, which was House Bill 966. House Bill 966 had $64 million in there from Cumberland County. Now, you sent me to Raleigh to bring back things to our community. So that's what I did as it relates to voting for the budget. One thing you all was not born, you may have been thought of during the process, but it's the second primary. You see, the second primary was designed some 20 or 30 years ago with a threshold of 40%. And that's another issue that I'm concerned about, is to appeal the second primary. The second primary means that today I have been successful to move it from 40% to 30%. So if you got a field of 3 or more, you must have the threshold of 30%. Again, it was 40%. And the 40% was designed that I would run 3 persons and you the 4th person, knowing that you're not going to get 40%. So 1, 2, and 3 team up together and defeat you. Okay. Because they sort of know that you're not going to get 40%. They know that. So, but by having that, a lot of minorities candidates were sort of pushed aside because of the threshold. So by reducing that, it sort of helped. But I'm for, appealing that all together. And another issue that every representative talks about jobs. In the South, if you look at it, I-95 East, that is sort of I-95 East. Then we're talking about the Research Triangle to 40, and then you're talking about from 40 from Winston-Salem to the mountain. So when you look at I-95 east to the ocean, that's not a wealthy part of the state. It's just not. It's just not a wealth. So we must look at how we create jobs. Every politician talk about jobs, but I asked my daughter to do some research, because she's technical, not me. It'll take me 20 years to download that.
How to use the iPhone now?
No. And my grandson is teaching me off a distance. But I asked her to Google and see what company runs off water.
I'm interested.
I'm interested in too. I don't know.
Well, that's the point. You see, companies locate where there is a cheap energy source. And right now the Supreme Court is going to hear the Dominion, the Atlantic Coast Pipeline.
Okay.
And that is to bring shale gas through West Virginia, down to North Carolina, and then stops in Robertson County. When it gets down here, I think it's going to be a 26 or 28-inch pipeline. And so you branch off that natural gas, which is plentiful and cheap today. Industry can tap into that, And it's energy, and natural gas today is the cheapest form of energy. Solar is there, but solar is only good as long as the sun shines.
As long as the sun is out.
And you don't have a backup system to store that. So with natural gas, industry see that is cheaper. So we must look at a way how right now it's held up because of environmental concern. But again, the Supreme Court is hearing that sometime within the next couple of weeks. Then again, we are in a veteran community, and veterans tend to locate where there is some advantage, not disadvantage.
We want it to be a veteran state.
Absolutely.
You definitely have to be a veteran state to get our attention.
So we went back in went back in January to address the scholarship, wherein that we, through the Department of Military Affairs, is that veterans is able to receive scholarships. So there was a hold up that many of the kids were not able to get their scholarships, and therefore they would not be able to register for the spring semester. So we went back and I talked with leadership, and we was able to get that bill heard as the only bill. Not only that, but again, veterans like in South Carolina, I don't believe they have vehicle tax for veterans. And here I passed the bill. It came out of the committee to allow veterans to that 100% to get 55% property tax reduction. So
Well, that's a start.
It's a start.
I mean, 'cause you have states
Y'all
like
got enough
Texas where
stuff.
you don't, like if you're 100%, you don't pay taxes, you don't pay property taxes.
Y'all get
so
enough stuff.
Listen, we served this country for
Y'all
20
get
years, okay?
enough
We
stuff.
protected y'all freedoms,
Yeah,
alright?
I thank you for
It
that,
is
but
well
y'all get
deserved.
enough stuff.
It is
Well, I want to
well
know when y'all gonna
deserved.
legalize marijuana so I can get me a farm.
Well,
That's what I want to know.
Well, Rep. Floyd, we definitely appreciate you breaking down some of those legislative policies and some of your agenda, because it sounds like, like you said, it's all negotiation. It seems really difficult sometimes to get some of this to go through. But before we close, we always like to end it on a positive note. So do you have a inspirational or motivational quote that you could leave our viewers with?
Well, what my grandson always told me once he was able to talk, Granddad, if I don't work, I don't eat.
Those are all facts.
Those all
How
facts.
old is he?
That's when he was
right.
growing up and be able to make words.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Listen, that's a smart boy right there. If you don't work, you don't eat. I know that's
That
right.
was his saying that, as he grew up, he would always say that.
Okay.
And so I utilized that, when I talk with him. Grandson, I can't get it if you don't work.
That's true. All right. So I'll go and I'll say great things never come from comfort zones. You got to get out your comfort zone to get something great.
I'm gonna say, don't be sorry, be better.
That's right. I know that's right.
and I ended with sympathy is the ability to understand. Empathy is the ability to give a second chance. So,
Right.
No.
You got that,
I'll top my dome.
There was a radio announcer, again, you all was not being thought of. He would always end it, said so much good in the best of us and so much bad in the worst of us. It behooves none of us to talk about the rest of us.
I know that's right.
I like that one.
That's good too.
I'm gonna use
That was
that
the
for
way to
the
end it
next
right there.
show.
That was a good way to end
Yeah.
it. Well, as you know, you guys, this is a Rep. Floyd, Elmer Floyd. He, the polls, when are the boxes open? March 3rd.
When
That's
that
the election.
early voting
That
is
the
still
election.
going.
Early
Yeah,
voting is still
Votes
going
till
on.
the
Go
29th.
ahead and let them know where they can vote.
Well, right now there's 7 polling sites. There's the Hope Mill Rec Center. There's the Pone Rec Center. There's the Eastern Regional Library, the Board of Elections,
Smith
Smith Rec Center, Cliffdale Rec Center, and the North Regional Library.
Okay, so you heard it. Y'all better get out there and vote. Our
Go to
people
Smith
do
Rec.
not Go through all those sacrifices so y'all don't use y'all voice. So make sure you do it.
We'll see y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
Until then, it's all up.